interpretation of the distance between us, that I genuinely do not trust myself to know anymore what is real, and what I am constructing out of anxiety and longing, and the specific way hope can distort your vision when you want something badly enough. So I am not going to assume. I am not going to decide for you what you feel or don't feel, what you want or don't want, what this is or isn't. I am going to do something I have never done cleanly before. I am going to ask directly, without cushioning it in ambiguity, without leaving myself a comfortable way out, if the answer is not what I need it to be. Do you still want this? Do you still want me? I need you to sit with that question for a moment before you answer it. Not in your head, not in the reflexive way that produces the safe answer before you've actually checked in with what's true. In your body, in the place where real answers lie before the mind gets to them and edits them into something more manageable. Because I think you know. I think underneath everything, underneath whatever hurt has accumulated, whatever disappointment has settled, whatever protective distance you have created between yourself and the full feeling of this, I think you know exactly what you feel. And I think part of you has been waiting for someone to ask the question clearly enough that you felt safe answering it honestly. I am asking that clearly now, and I want the honest answer, whatever it is. But while you're sitting with that, while you're finding your way to whatever is true for you, I want to keep talking, because there is still so much I need to say, and I have learned the hard way that the moments when we are finally willing to be honest with each other are rare and precious, and should not be wasted on silence, when there are still words that need to exist between us. I want to talk about fear, your fear specifically, not as a criticism, never as a criticism, but as something I see in you and want you to know I understand. Because I think your fear and my fear, though they look different on the surface, come from the same place. They come from having been hurt before, from having been open before and having that openness used carelessly or not valued, or simply not met with the same openness in return. I think at some point in your life, someone you trusted with something tender handled it without the care it deserved. And you learned from that. The way we all learn from pain, by adjusting, by protecting, by deciding unconsciously that certain parts of yourself are safer kept private, safer kept behind something solid enough that they can't be reached easily. I know that story. I live that story. And I know that when someone comes along and starts asking you to be open again, asking you to bring those protected parts back to the surface, the instinct is not gratitude. The instinct is fear. The instinct is weight. The instinct is, but what if this is the same thing in a different face? What if I do this again and it cost me the same way it cost me before? What if being that vulnerable again is just setting myself up for a version of the same pain I spent so long recovering from? I want to speak directly to that fear in you right now. Not to dismiss it, it is a reasonable fear. It comes from real experience. It has protected you in ways that mattered. But I want to ask it to consider something. I want to ask it to consider the cost of the other direction. Because fear of being hurt again will keep you safe from that specific pain, yes. But it will also keep you from this. From what we have. From what we could be if both of us were willing to stop protecting ourselves from each other and start protecting each other instead. That is a different kind of safety. The kind that does not come from walls but from trust. The kind that is not about keeping things out, but about creating something strong enough on the inside that the outside cannot easily break it. That is what I want to build with you. Not a relationship that survives by keeping each other at a managed distance, but one that is strong because we know each other completely and choose each other anyway. That kind of strength is not built by being careful. It is built by being honest, by showing up imperfectly and being received anyway. By saying the hard things and discovering that the hard things don't end us, they actually bring us closer. By learning each other's fears and holding them gently instead of using them. By learning each other's wounds and being careful around them instead of pressing on them when we're frustrated or afraid. I have not always been careful with you. I want to name that again because I think it bears repeating. Because I think sometimes acknowledgement needs to happen more than once before it actually lands. There were moments when I knew where you were tender and I was careless anyway. not maliciously, not with any intention to hurt you, but carelessly, which in some ways is worse because it means I was not paying enough attention. It means that in those moments, my own preoccupation with whatever was happening inside me made me less present to what was happening inside you, and you deserve better attention than that. You have always deserved better attention than that, and I am sorry in the specific, clear way that is not just an apology but a commitment to paying better attention, to choosing presence over preoccupation, to making sure that you never have to wonder whether I am actually here with you, or just physically nearby. There is something I want you to understand about the way I love, because I think it has not always been visible in the ways that are easiest to recognize, and I think that invisibility has sometimes made you doubt it, made you wonder if it was real or sufficient or directed at you with the clarity and intention that love should be directed. I want to explain it so you can see it when it's happening, so the next time it reaches you, you know to receive it instead of wondering what it is. I love in the small ways, in the noticing ways, in the remembering the thing you mentioned weeks ago and bringing it up because it still matters to you ways, in the adjusting my behavior because I learned what affects you ways, in the lying awake thinking about what you said and what you actually meant ways, in the checking in without announcing that I'm checking in ways. It does not always look like grand gestures. It does not always announce itself. It moves quietly and consistently in the background of everything I do, in the way that real, sustained love actually operates when it has settled past the beginning and becomes something that lives in the ordinary rather than the exceptional. But I also want to learn to love you in the ways that are visible to you. That is important to me, because love that operates entirely on its own terms, that expresses itself only in the ways that feel natural to the person giving it, without considering whether those ways actually land for the person receiving it. That is incomplete love. That is love that is more about the giver than the receiver. And you deserve love that meets you where you are, that speaks your language, that reaches you in the specific ways that actually feel like love to you, not just the ways that feel like love to me. So I want to know that. I want to know how love reaches you most clearly. What makes you feel seen? What makes you feel safe? What makes you feel chosen in a way that is undeniable? In a way that does not require you to interpret or wonder or talk yourself into believing. I want to know all the specific details of how to love you well, and I want the chance to actually do it, consistently, over time, in the way that builds into something unshakable. Can I tell you what I think happened to us? Not as an accusation, not as a way of assigning blame, but as an honest observation from someone who has been paying very close attention. I think we both got scared at the same time. I think we both hit a moment where the feeling between us became too real to be comfortable, too significant to be ignored, too much to pretend was something casual or manageable. And instead of moving toward that significance together, instead of looking at each other and saying this is real, and it terrifies me and I'm choosing it anyway, we both stepped back. At the same time, in the same direction, away from each other, away from the thing, away from the risk of it. And then we both stood there in our respective retreats, wondering why the distance had grown, wondering what the other person was feeling, wondering if the reaching out was worth the risk of being the one who reached first. I am the one who is reaching first. I decided that. I am not waiting anymore to see who blinks first or who softens first or who is willing to be more vulnerable first. I am going first, completely and without reservation, because one of us had to, and I would rather it be me than spend another day in the polite, painful limbo of two people who care enormously about each other, but are letting fear make their decisions for them. And here is what I need from you in return, not perfection, not certainty, not a guarantee that everything from here is going to be smooth and uncomplicated. I just need you to be willing to try, willing to bring yourself all the way to the table, instead of sitting sideways in your chair, with one foot pointed toward the door. Willing to let me see the parts of you that you have decided are too much or not enough or too complicated to be worth presenting. I want those parts. I specifically want those parts, not despite their difficulty, but because of what they tell me about who you actually are underneath all the careful management of yourself. I want to know what you're like when you're falling apart. Not because I want to see you suffer, but because the way a person falls apart tells you everything about what they are actually made of. I want to know what you hold on to when everything feels uncertain. I want to know what your voice sounds like when you've stopped being composed, when something has gotten past all the composure and is just coming out raw and unfiltered. I want to be the person you trust enough to fall apart in front of. And I want you to know with absolute certainty that if you fall apart in front of me, I will not step back. I will step forward. I will come closer. I will hold whatever is breaking, and I will stay until it is not breaking anymore. And I will not make you feel for even 1 second that your falling apart is an inconvenience or a burden or something I need you to hurry through so we can get back to the easier version. You are not a burden to me. I need you to hear that plainly. In all the ways you have ever worried about being too much, in all the moments you have held yourself back from full expression, because you were afraid of overwhelming the people around you, I need you to know that with me, that calculation does not apply. There is no version of you that is too much for me. There is no depth of feeling or honesty or need that exceeds what I am willing to meet. I am not going to flinch. I am not going to go quiet and distant when you bring me something real and heavy. I am not going to make you feel the particular loneliness of having been vulnerable with someone who then made you wish you hadn't been. I know that loneliness. I have felt it before, and I know exactly what it does to a person, how it closes things down, how it teaches you to keep your real self behind something protective, because the last time you brought it out it was met with something less than it deserved. I know, and I am telling you, with everything I am and everything I mean, that I will not be that experience for you. I refuse to be that experience for you. Whatever else I am, whatever mistakes I make, whatever